I live with bipolar disorder. When I was not medicated properly, the pace of my thoughts could be completely out of control to the point of having severe insomnia. While being on the right medication was critical to my mental illness recovery, however, those negative thoughts, the contents of my thoughts, was not treatable by medication. And they could be very abusive, very dark, very negative. But recent years, I learned the truth about spiritual deliverance and overcame my mental torment and received total peace of mind. And I will talk about how in this video. Do you feel like your mind is always racing and the things you think about are tormenting you, taking away your peace and your sleep? Perhaps you have tried many methods like psychotherapy, meditation, or physical exercise, but they are only helpful for the time being. As soon as the session ends, the negative thoughts will return to dominate your mind. First of all, you have to realize that we do not have direct control over what we think or not think. The quality of our thoughts depends on what we choose to put in our heads. They are reflections of how we live our lives and what we meditate on. For instance, the content of our thoughts depends on what we read and watch. If we choose to watch and read things that are vile, graphic, or scary, then the afterthoughts will inevitably be a continuation of those images. Therefore, we need to purify what we read and watch. Do not willingly invite things to bother us. If the things that are troublesome are memories of past events and people combined with feelings of hatred and shame, it means that they are soul ties that need to be severed. Whenever a meaningful physical or emotional connection was formed between two people, a soul tie will be formed. Literally in the spiritual realm. When the relationship goes sour, soul ties make it impossible for the two persons to forget the things which happened between them. Memories keep on flashing back and words exchanged keep on ringing in our heads. The more we curse and judge that person, the ties become tighter, making those memories more vivid and hateful emotions more intensified. The most powerful way that soul ties form is through sex. When we have a sexual relationship with someone, especially if such an experience is regretful and bothers our conscience, we might have a very difficult time forgetting it and suffer from feelings of shame. The only way to cut off those soul ties and set us free from past memories is to say prayers of forgiveness. Technically, forgive as many times as you cursed. At first, saying those prayers doesn't have to come from your heart, but saying out loud already has the power to make those flashbacks less intensive. And every time this memories comes back to haunt you, say a prayer of forgiveness to fight it off. This is the only effective way to cut off those train of thoughts. Some people don't want to forgive because they don't want their offenders off the hook. But forgiveness can have nothing to do with the other person. It's purely for the sake of your mental health. Forgiveness gives the power to forget. And some people might say, well, I'm just not able to. I can't forgive. It's not really about ability. It's more about willingness. Are you willing to let go? Once you're willing to let go and you say those prayers of forgiveness often, God will gradually give you the whole picture. And He will give you the ability to forget and be set free. If your thoughts often consist of the things you did wrong and you suffer from guilt and regrets, pray a prayer of repentance and ask for God's forgiveness. And most importantly, turning from your sinfulness. Every time such a memory comes to haunt you, say a prayer of repentance. Repentance is not about self-condemnation. Rather, it's asking God to take away the curse and punishment of sins and set your soul free. Another thing that degrades the thoughts of our minds is how we handle our relationships in life. We need to realize that being right or wrong sometimes is far less important than the relationship itself, especially between people dear to us. We have to admit that we only see things from our own angle and do not have the whole picture. Perhaps everything was a misunderstanding. But even if we were totally right and we won the argument, we would lose the relationship and ended up still being a loser. In conclusion, the keys to having peace are to purify what we read, listen, and watch. Pray that we can forgive our offenders. Pray that we can be forgiven for our transgressions, and to try to live in peace and harmony with others. 1 John chapter 2:16 can sum up the things that take away our peace of mind. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life also tells us that they are the things of this world. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give it to you. I do not give to you as the world gives." Therefore, the ultimate solution to our chaotic and racing mind is the peace that can only be found in Jesus. Start the journey by praying the following. Father in heaven, my life seems to be out of control. I was unable to do any of the things mentioned. The hardest of all is not being able to forgive. My ways of coping with past hurts are not healthy and unacceptable in your eyes, and they are also affecting my present relationships. I want to be set free. I'm willing to try. Please give me the ability to do that. Help me see things from your angle. Shine light on my situations in ways that I never thought before. Please renew my mind and cleanse away everything that was dirty and vile. Help me to stop dwelling on the past. Instead, help me look up to you for help and look forward to the future that you have prepared for me. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.